Okay, next one, the holistic approach to energy. So we're going to go into like, okay, how are we going to address the root cause? We need to basically test mitochondrial function, look at nutritional therapy. We need to help hormonal balancing, gut healing, and detox pathways. So this is just an overview. I don't want to inundate you with information, but we need to get things in good order. And that can happen with just testing, detox, restoration, right? It can be really considered like three parts. So identify, detox, restore. So, hormone therapy, there's some tests we'll go over, more particularly for adrenals in this call today. So you can see, okay, what's the best test out of all these? Gut healing, so we need to restore microbiome. Detox pathways, that is your liver, your kidney. You also have cellular detox pathways. And those are important to make sure that they're opened up so that you dump toxins out because they're basically, let me show you on my little handy dandy whiteboard here. So your cell has all these receptor sites on it, and they all look a little different. So they're meant to take in information from different things from your body and from your cell signaling. So if we have a toxin on here, we'll just say magnesium can't get in, and we need magnesium to help calm the cell, to help nourish the adrenals, and so forth. If we have like androgen, so we'll just say like a hormone over here blocking this, we're not going to get proper hormone signaling from the cell, which is why I go back to that upstream effect of removing toxins like the heavy metals from the body because it helps clear it out. So these little things also attach to the big things. So you can have poor cell signaling, which will cause a lot of damage to the energetic cycle of the body. Now the ATP, your mitochondria, let's just do this, produces ATP. Now, we've been taught in school ATP is just for energy. Like, oh, it just gives me energy. Well, no. ATP also helps with cellular functions like, hey, I need fixing. I need to fix this problem over here. I need to fix this problem over there, and so forth. So ATP is just a really a message to the body that it needs help doing something. Okay. So I'm going to move this back out of the way. Okay. So we'll go through lifestyle optimizations. Like, for example, I've incorporated like a new technique in the morning, different than red light and cold plunge. I've been sitting with my feet on the earth, praying, meditating for about 15 minutes with my eyes looking at the sun. And I've noticed, again, there are days when there's not sun, or there's days when it's too cold outside, or there's days where you just can't get out in the morning. But if you create a pattern of consistency, that can help change the energetic pattern of the body. So the sun comes into the eyes, basically crosses these axes, and it goes in these opsin receptor sites on the back of your eyes, and then your body mechanically converts that energy into different waveforms, which is super cool, like functions for the body to do. It's like magic on the body. So we want to regulate circadian rhythms by sunlight and energy by sunlight. We want to have some stress reduction. Of course, that's like things like cold plunge, vagal tone, deep breathing. Now, do we have to do all of them? No, but what we can do is identify, I did this week, and I'm going to write down, okay, this was one of my wins this week. I found that if I just started with getting my feet on the earth and looking at the sun, that I felt like my afternoon energy was great. And you can just write that down. Sometimes it's the little things that give us the biggest impact for our energy, for our health, and so forth. So, and of course, movement. We all need to move. I mean, I know I feel better when I move, but it produces endorphins and dopamine, and that helps the adrenal function, and that tells the body to produce more ATP. ATP, if you are not exercising, you're not going to get enough ATP. So if you're sitting more and like, well, I don't have enough energy because I'm tired, well, literally, if you go exercise, you will get more energy. Doesn't mean you have to do like a high intensity interval workout. Doesn't mean you have to go do an hour run. it means 20 minutes of something that gets your breath going in and out pretty heavily. And that could be a light jog, that could be on a bicycle. So there are some great, easy approaches you can do without it being too taxing if your energy's not there, but it will be energizing because your body needs that ATP activation to get more ATP. So, a big goal is to restore cellular energy. So, that's that signaling around the cell, reduce the inflammatory response on the body, and rebalance your organs, your systems, detox pathway. So, again, not want to overcomplicate it, but it kind of gives you an idea. There are some things to really look at. I'm going to give you an overview of allopathic and why it does not work. Okay. So, traditional medicine doesn't recognize adrenal fatigue. It was formally diagnosed, but does not acknowledge adrenal insufficiencies, which means like dysfunctions, low adrenal function. They're only going to look for Addison's and Cushing syndrome, which means you have to have extreme issues. So they have one test. It's called the ACTH stimulation test. And that will measure the ability of your adrenal glands to produce cortisol. So most doctors, if you're like, I have fatigue, they will probably test you for your thyroid. This would be very last on their list. So you might be spending lots of your time trying to get a test that you might not be able to get. So I go into how it works. They inject ACTH, which is like a synthetic cortisol, and to see how your body responds to it. So who needs it? Someone who has Addison disease. Now, would I use that? No. But I want to let you know there's tests out there in the medical field that they will use if they get to that point. So next one would be serum cortisol test. That's a blood draw. That measures your total cortisol in the blood in a single point in time. The problem with that is your cortisol fluctuates throughout the entire day. It's like hormones. If you go get a hormone test, a blood draw, it's a snapshot of just that time. Now that's useful to some degree, depending on the time of day that you're doing it. But overall, you want to look at what's happening throughout your entire day. So we want to see it become like this nice arch of like happy cortisol in the morning, lowering down, and then finally petering off at nighttime. And that gets onset by a number of cool factors that goes on the body, like sunlight basically stimulating cortisol and testosterone and a melatonin onset to help you sleep at night. It's super, I mean, the body's just crazy smart. We just haven't fully figured it out yet. Okay, the next test is a DHEA test, and this one is a precursor hormone to adrenals. So you can do this. We're going to go through some other tests. So I just want you to be aware that there are medical tests that you can have or get done by your healthcare professional and see, hey, is this an issue or not? So the other one is an electrolyte panel, which again is going to be really simple. It's not going to be a full panel of like all your minerals or the ratio between minerals. So the next one will be your thyroid panel. And sometimes they won't do a full thyroid panel. They're going to do a TSH, most likely, and they might do a T3 or T4. So some doctors don't do it until you ask and ask and ask. So there are some better tests, which we'll go through in a minute on that. But this, again, most doctors will get you, like if you just ask enough, like, hey, can I have a full panel of my thyroid and what it looks like? So now the thyroid has what's called there's an axis between the thyroid, adrenals, and pituitary. So if you're overly stressed, right, that inadvertently can affect the thyroid. So it's kind of figuring out, well, why is my thyroid low? Do I really need a supplement or do I need to fix my adrenals and my stress? And that's the problem.